Hey kids, so today this video is for the 4x4 UFO Zip Bag. It's a little different, so it gets its own special video. You can see I have already printed out my stitch sheet, and I have made notes to myself about what should be a color change and what should not be a color change. If you've done in the hoop before, you know that designers use random colors to force a stop so that you can lay down stuff, pick up stuff, turn off stuff, blah, blah, blah. So there we are. What you will need for this bag is obviously the pattern. You will need some medium weight cutaway hooped in your hoop. And yes, I'm using the 5x7 hoop because my 4x4 hoop is currently busy on something else. You're gonna need some tape, yay. You're gonna need 2 pieces of approximately, and we're gonna cut one of these for the upper and lower. And this is done on a 45, so it's a little odd. One for the back and one for the front. These are approximately 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and I lie, they're probably more or less than that because they're from the scrap pile, but I am running low on sky blue, and since the UFO flies, I figured the background would be sky blue. You also need a zipper. Remember, on your zippers for all zip bags, you need approximately 1 to 2 inches longer than the widest part of where the zipper goes. This one is way too long, but it's the right color, so there. I'm gonna use a lobster claw and for my attachment instead of a D-ring, and a 3-inch piece of grass grain ribbon. The other thing you're gonna need is a piece of clear vinyl. And look at me, I got everything all laid out and ready to rock and roll and forgot my clear vinyl. I'm a horrible human being. So for my clear vinyl, I usually use 16 to 16 gauge. The heavier the gauge, 18 or 20, the heavier the vinyl. Once you get into 20, you may or may not have stitch problems. But if you go less than 16, like 12, then you're gonna get that perf, and it's gonna peel away, and all that hard work for nothing. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are gonna throw it into the machine, and we're gonna run our first die line, and that's gonna give us a tack down stitch for our grass grain ribbon and our lobster claw. And I'll be back in a second to show you how to do that. Okay kids, we've run our die line for our grass grain ribbon tack down for our lobster claw or D-ring assembly. You're just gonna take 2 little pieces of tape. You're gonna fold over the grass grain and pass it through either the D-ring or the lobster claw. You're gonna line it up so that it's about 1/4 of an inch past the die line towards the interior of the bag. And then because we don't like flippy floppy, we're gonna tape that down. Now we're gonna throw this in and we're gonna run color stop 2, which will tack down that that grass grain ribbon assembly and do the die line for the rest of the bag for the vinyl placement. So we will be back in 2 seconds. Okay, Liebchens, we have got our die lines, we've got our tack down, we're just rocking and rolling. So I'm gonna pull up this little piece of tapey tape because we don't need it right this second. This right here is where we are going to put that zipper. I'm gonna get this out of the way so you, I'm gonna flip this over so you can see. Yeah, there, that's better. Look at that, it's learning for everybody. So this is going to be approximately 1 inch wide, and it totally should be the width of the ribbon. Actually, it's probably greater than 1 inch. No, it is 1 inch. Look at that. I am better than I thought. So what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna line up this ribbon exactly between those 2 lines, covering them totally, okay? And we want it nice and straight, and this zipper has been in a bag for a while. So it's all hinky-dinky. Let's see if I've got, oh, this zipper is way more better. It's been in the bag too, but apparently it was squinched up in the correct way. So I'm gonna line that up, and I'm gonna make sure that that's nice and straight. And I'm just gonna put a little piece of tape here. There we go. And I'm gonna come down here, I'm just wanting to make sure that everything stays nice and straight. Okay, and I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna put another little piece of tape. Not a big piece. Well, that is kind of a big piece, but I will wind up reusing it. And then we're gonna put it back in the machine. We're gonna run the next color stop, which is color stop. Yes, that is a new numbering system. Color stop 3, and it's gonna tack down our zipper so that then we can put our vinyl. Back in just a second. So here we are, kiddos. We've got our zipper tacked down, so we're gonna pull up that tape because I totally am using that later. For sures, for sures. And now we've got these 2 triangles right here that we need to cover top and bottom with vinyl. Size, not such an important. What is gonna be important is that both the top and the bottom piece of vinyl have a perfectly straight line, and that each piece of vinyl is big enough to cover our die line. So I took one of those scrappies you saw at the beginning of the video, and I just cut it on a diagonal. And yes, it is way too big. We'll all deal. But we want to buck it up against those teeth, and we want to make sure that it's nice and straight with our zipper. Okay. We want to tape it outside our stitch path so that we don't tape or stitch our tape down in. All right. And that's really all you really need to secure it. But if you're paranoid, you can throw a little piece of tape there and a little piece of tape there. Okay, we're going to throw it back in the machine, and it's going to tack down that vinyl, and I'll show you that in just a second. Guys, so there we are. We've got our vinyl tacked down. Now we're going to start doing some design work, and there's nothing tricky or scary or bizarre about that until we get to color stop 12. So I am going to run everything 5 through 12, and the colors are correct between 5 and 12. You don't have to worry about interpreting what I meant. I'm going to run 5 through 12, and then I'll be back and talk to you about the clear clear vinyl applique that goes over the UFO dome. So 5 through 12 on your own. See you shortly. Okay, folks, we had a happy little accident. I'm trying to make a Bob Ross moment out of it. This is what happens when you are doing 5 things at once, and then the phone rings, and your mom-in-law says, I need you to come get me, because she's not supposed to be driving anymore, or at least not driving alone, and I need you to go do this and this and this with me. And you're like, okay, let me just throw this last thread change on, and I'm out the door, and you don't pay attention to your stitch order sheet, and all of a sudden, the dark gray of your UFO becomes electric blue. But we are going to make it a happy little accident. We're gonna roll with it, because, it's a UFO. And if you wanna point to the fact-based evidence that there's not neon blue on your UFO, then bring it. If not, we're gonna roll. All right, so I have stopped it at color stop 12. Color stop 12 is gonna give you a die line for where to lay your clear vinyl. Then color stop 13, we'll tack it down. We'll come back, we'll trim, and then we'll do color stops 14 through 19, no stops at all, to fill in the last of the details. And then I'll show you how to put the ollie to hide the stitching and do your back, cut, trim, turn, yada, yada, yada. Back in a second. This is really not all that in a bag of chips, ladies and gentlemen. I am simply going to take my clear vinyl, and I am going to put it over that die line, and I'm gonna put 2 little pieces of tape just to hold it in place, and it's going to do a zigzag to lock that in, and then I'll go back and trim it. Just a sec. Okie dokie, so here we are. We've got our little tack down going on. I am going to grab my applique scissors, and I'm going to cut as close to that zigzag stitch as I possibly can without clipping my stitches, either top, bottom, side. Da-da-da. And you don't have to worry about being super good at this because the zigzag is a 2 millimeter zigzag, and I'm overlaying it with a 3.5 millimeter satin. So it should, if you've got a little bit of oopsie daisy, which sometimes you do, it should hide a multitude of sins. Now, ooh, I'm going to throw it back in, and I am going to run color stops 14 through 19. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then we will be back for that kind of lining on the back with the ollie fun that I do. Okie dokie pokey, we have got the rest of the details all sewn in and looking sharp. I like it, I like it, I like it. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to attach to the back a piece of ollie, actually 2 pieces of ollie fun. So that this embroidery, this raw embroidery, does not show, is not, when you reach your hand in the bag, you're not getting thread cooties all over yourself. Now this one's going to be a little fun because we need to cover, off screen, we need to cover both the top and the bottom. Usually it's cut it, put it at the zipper line, then we trim off. You know, we're going to do this a little different. We're going to do one whole piece and then we'll cut it after it's been tacked down. How's that? All right, that makes life a little bit easier. Let's do it this way and see what happens. It may be fantastico. It may be a disaster. Who knows? Welcome to my world. Chaos is fun. So I'm going to tape all 4 sides of this down because my multi-needle loves to grab ollie and rip it off. And then we're going to flip it over and we're going to squish everything down. And I'm going to throw it, and she is just going to do a tack line on top and bottom, and then we'll trim out. So, back in a minute. Okay, look at that. That was super fantastic quick. All right, so now what we have to do is we have to trim that ollie. I know. Well, we don't have to trim it all. We just have to trim it away from where that zipper's at. So this should be not too horrible. Okay, so we're gonna grab our skizzers and we're gonna go right in here. And let's see. There we go. There, nice, nice, nice. Now let's come back the other way. Fantastic. Yes. This stuff you don't have to worry about because when we trim the whole bag, it'll get... All right, now we have to move our zipper. And we want to move our zipper to approximately 2 fingers from the end of the bag. And we want to tape that down so that stuff doesn't flop around. But we also want to tape our transitions because sometimes our machines are evil and they want to catch our vinyl and rip our work right out of the hoop, and that's just mean. So now we're going to pop it back in the machine. It's going to go tack, come down here so that it doesn't go over our zipper, and then tack here. Then we're going to trim our zipper and tuck it under, and then we'll put her back on, and sew, and blah, 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 and all done. Bing, bada, boom, bada, whatever. Okay, so now I always tuck my zipper tails under to give the bag a little bit better of a clean looking finish. And then it was pointed out to me by some of you guys that when I cut the teeth right up to that line, sometimes after you turn, it sticks out and looks dirty and nasty, which defeats what we were doing. So now we're stopping about 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch away from that line, and then we're snipping. We're still cutting the teeth away from the ribbon, and we will still open up the back and tuck, maybe not this, 18 feet of ribbon up underneath, but we're still tucking our tails. Tuck, tuck. Come on, go in. Go in. It's like me trying to put on my spring jeans after a full winter of making like a hibernating bear, and there we go. All right, now we're gonna put that tape back down still for our transition. We're gonna come back here. We're going to, because this is on a diagonal, we're going to make our cross really wide. We're gonna spread like that guy on the subway that's really obnoxious. We're gonna spread all the way out. And then we're gonna trim because we've just got too much. That's just too much. And then I'm gonna flip it over and squish, 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 squish. And then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna do the same exact thing. We're gonna do the same exact thing. Okay, there we go. We're gonna pull that back. And remember, we are only going to cut to about 1/4 of an inch, right about there, from that tack line. Okay, because when we flip or turn our bag inside out, we don't want this raw to show. And now we're gonna sneak in here and we're going to slice a little hole and we're gonna stuff. Wow. Stuff, stuff, stuff. Come on. It doesn't want to go. There we go. All right, we're gonna pull those, and again, we're gonna do a wide spread X. All right. Excuse me, I need some water. Okay, really wide. Open it really wide up, and then grab a little piece of tape, and we're gonna trim these back just a hair so they don't catch or pull or flop around. You're gonna throw it back in the machine and we're going to bean stitch those turns down. Then we'll come back and I'll show you how to cut for your ollie and fold it in, and then, or not ollie, your gross grain ribbon, your ribby ribbon, and then we'll put the back on and sew it up and then cut and turn and do-si-do. Okay, here we are, folks. We are totally in the home stretch. Okay, so we're gonna peel up this tape, and we're gonna peel up this tape because we don't want to sew them into the bags. Okay, we're also going to take the opportunity to trim a little bit because I got a hair there and I got a hair there and one there, and there we go. Now you'll notice on this last color stop that it went ahead and gave us a cutting line. So we are going to take our scissors and we are going to cut right up to that line, but we're not going to cut that line. And that is going to tell us how we fold this baby down. All right, and we want to make sure that that baby is out of our stitch path. We are also going to take our seam ripper and we are going to put a hole in this. Ooh, hey, and that reminds me, now that we've done this, aha, see, look, aha, all of this extra stuff. Okay, now that we have done our little cross and tails, we're going to cut those off, and get rid of them. There we go. Yeah, stay down. And it wants to fold over. Yeah, I told you my multi-needle loves to grab stuff and tuck it where it doesn't belong. Okay, so what I was saying is we are also going to stick, we're going to stick our seam ripper in here and we're going to get a tear started so that when it comes time to turn this bag, we have a hole to turn it through. And then we're going to take our backing vinyl and we're going to put it on top because this is a turned bag. And we don't have to tape anything down super hard. But if it makes you feel better, that's what we're going to do. We're going to tape it down top and bottom. Then we're going to throw it in the machine and it's going to outline the whole rigmarole. Yay. And then we'll come back, trim and turn. Boy, it has been a long day. Okay, guys, back in a sec. voila, and here we are. So one of the tips, there we are. One of the tricks, tips, ideas that I want to share with you is that I always trim the stabilizer off the back of the zipper while it's still in the hoop, because that's going to make everybody's life a lot easier. The weight of the hoop holds the work down for you, so you're not trying to hold it in place and snip stitches and blah blah blah. So there we go. Everything else is ready to pop out of this hoop. Now, good news, bad news, just news. This little donkey doy has no straight edges, so we're gonna have to hand cut everything. And remember, you're gonna have to cut or snip these internal really well, and you're gonna clip your curves and your indents so that when we do turn this guy, he turns correctly and everything sticks out and is all roundy like it should be. Okay, now for the fun part. We're gonna see if we can't stick our fingers in here. And I'm not a big fan of 4x4 little bags. You'll notice I don't do a whole bunch of them because they're so hard to turn. But I was asked, I was begged, I was pleaded with, please, won't you? So my pain, my agony, my discomfort, my lack of fun in life is all because of you. Now we're gonna slide this zipper back if we can. Again, getting my hand in there is not exactly, there we go. And now we are going to turn. We're gonna turn, and then we're gonna come down here and we're gonna turn. And we're gonna stuff. Then we're gonna take something, chopstick, the other end of a crochet hook, something, and we're gonna poke out all of our seams so we get a nice pokey out. And it's roundy where it needs to be roundy. And it's jutty where it needs to be jutty. And we're gonna smash mouth. Yes. Oops. And we're gonna trim off some of these nasties. They're just harshing my groove, man. All right, and here is, and we're gonna close our zipper. Yeah, there we go. There is our cute little alien UFO 4x4 zip bag. Yay! Perfect for a little change purse. Yay, alien. Peace.